Shalom, YouTubers. I had to go grab a bite to eat. Came back and I figured I'd change caps as well because I need to change caps. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Deuteronomy 13. Something that's not talked about in Christian circles, of course, um, as far as false prophets and evangelizing the Jews. There's no way that I could do that yet because I've not studied enough. But I wanted to read some words through here to kind of give you a backdrop. Now, Deuteronomy 13. If a prophet or one who foretells by dreams appears among you and announces to you a miraculous sign or wonder, and if the sign or wonder of which he has spoken takes place, and he says, "Let us follow other gods, gods you have not known, and let us worship them," you must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer. Yahweh your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart, with all your soul. It is Yahweh your God you must follow, and him you must revere. Now this is the kicker, and I'm reading the NIV once again. Keep his commands and obey him. Serve him and hold fast to him. That prophet or dreamer must be put to death because he has preached rebellion against Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the land of slavery. He has tried to turn you from the way of Yahweh your God commanded you to follow. You must purge the evil from among you. So it's interesting because you won't be able to get a Jew to talk to you if you try to talk to him about Yeshua, because Christianity says that he's God. And the only God that the Jews know is Yahweh. So something interesting I also saw in that is in the middle it says, keep his commands and obey him, serve him, and hold fast to him. Now, there's two chapters, or two other scriptures that I want to bring up. One of them is Ezekiel chapter 13. The word of Yahweh came to me, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel who are now prophesying. Say to those who prophesy out of their own imaginations, hear the word of Yahweh. This is what Yahweh, the sovereign Yahweh, says. Woe to the foolish prophets who follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. Okay, and then basically it goes through there a big rant as far as they're false prophesying. They say what they want to say and they're not listening to me. So we have once again a setup or a backdrop of the false prophet. So we see a false prophet is someone who speaks in the name of Yahweh, and also someone who would speak against his laws. Because if a prophet says we should go worship other gods, but the Bible, the Torah, the Tanakh, says you will have no other gods before me, who are you to believe? God says even if someone comes and does great and mighty things in front of you, you still shouldn't follow him because you have the law to tell you. So let's jump over to Acts chapter 6 and starting in verse 13. Let's go back to 12. Let's even go back to 11. That's a better start. No. Let's start at 8. Now Stephen, a man full of God's grace and power, did great wonders and miraculous signs. Okay, remember, Deuteronomy 13. Among the people, opposition arose, however, from the members of the synagogue of the freedmen, as it was called, Jews of Cyrene and Alexandria, as well as the provinces of Cilicia and Asia. These men began to argue with Stephen, but they could not stand up against his wisdom or the Spirit by whom he spoke. They then secretly persuaded some men to say, we have heard Stephen speak words of blasphemy against Moses and against God. So we see here, these men couldn't handle him, so they lied about him. So let's go on. They stirred up the people and the elders and the teachers of the law. They seized Stephen and brought him before the Sanhedrin. They produced false witnesses who testified, this fellow never stopped speaking against this holy place and against the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth, or Yeshua of Nazareth, will destroy this place and change the customs Moses handed down to us. Stephen would have been identified as a false prophet because Stephen was doing all these great things and he was teaching about Yeshua, and they wanted to kill him for it. So there's a lot of interesting things that I see in these passages here. The main thing that jumps out at me in verse 14, for we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and change the customs of Moses handed down to us. Now, is that not the same thing that the Christian church says about Paul? They're making Paul a false prophet. Paul never said anything like that, because if that would have been the case, Paul would have been stoned. So whenever we see, as far as a prophet nowadays, if this prophet says that we should not honor God's laws, they're a false prophet per Deuteronomy 13. Can we stone them? No, we cannot. We do not have a temple. We're not judges. They would be a judicial system that would handle all that. That's another video for another day. But with this, the law of Moses is still in full effect. It has not gone away, because we see here, and after the death, burial, and resurrection of Yeshua, that these men testified against Stephen, saying that he was trying to teach against the law of Moses and saying the customs would be changed. If the customs would be changed, then they wouldn't follow the law of Moses anymore. And that wouldn't apply just to Jew. That would apply to Gentile as well, per Numbers 15:15 and also Exodus 12:41. So it's something that really jumped out at me. I thought, man, they're falsely accusing Stephen of doing this, and he didn't really do it. It's the same thing with Yeshua. What happened? Yeshua said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Later on in his trial, what happened? They said, this man said he's going to destroy the temple, and it took 40 years to build. So whenever we see reading the Bible from the Old Testament to the New Testament, what is a false prophet? Someone who speaks against Torah. That's why whenever a Christian would try to evangelize to a Jew, they would shut him down. They won't listen to him. Because from a Judaic perspective, from a Jewish perspective, Christians would be preaching another God, and that's something they won't listen to. Food for thought. Go through, read your Bible from Genesis to Revelation without commentary. Read Torah. Torah will give you a good foundation. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one.